Hello and welcome to the Hills Folk Club's December online concert, our 8th and final concert for 2020. My name's Adrienne Lovelock and I'm your host for this event. This year has thrown up a few challenges for people who make music. With live gigs cancelled, many professional musicians have turned to online formats, and grassroots music communities like the Hills Folk Club have done so too. We started sharing music online with our first virtual concert in May, and we're ending the year with this concert, which is number 8. This will also be the last of our virtual concerts because we plan to go back to meeting face-to-face in the new year, with COVID-safe practices all in place, of course. Our first segment starts off with Christmas songs from Morfey. Then Jane Tassie will introduce us to her newest instrument, and we'll hear from Rene Steen with 2 of his own songs.
A couple of Christmas songs. In the bleak midwinter, rusty winds made moan, earth stood hard as iron, water like a stone. Snow was falling, snow on snow, snow on snow. In the bleak midwinter, long ago. Our God, heaven cannot hold him, nor earth sustain. Heaven and earth shall flee away when he comes again. In the bleak midwinter, a stable place sufficed. The Lord God Almighty, Jesus Christ. Angels and archangels may have gathered there, cherubim and seraphim throng the air, but his mother learned only in her maiden bliss worshipped the beloved only with a kiss. What can I give him, poor as I am? If I were a shepherd, I would bring a lamb. If I were a wise man, I would do my part. What can I give him? Give him my heart. Christmas is now drawing near at hand. Come praise the Lord and be at his command. Come praise the Lord and pray both night and day. Leave off your sins and live upright, I pray. So proud and lofty are some sorts of sin, which many take delight and pleasure in, whose conversation God doth much dislike, and yet he shakes his rod before he strikes. So proud and lofty do some people go, dressing themselves all up as in a show. They patch and paint and dress with idle stuff, as if God had not made them fine enough. Even little children learn to curse and swear, and can't rehearse a word of deadly prayer. Teach them better, Lord, teach them to rely on Christ our sinner's friend, who reigns on high.
Hello Hills Folk Club members. Peter suggested that I might like to do a video showing you my Gourd banjo that I've recently made. It is in fact made out of a gourd, which I got from Maitland, New South Wales, from a man who calls himself John the Gourd Father. So I got the gourd from New South Wales. I got the skin head from Sydney from a drum maker. This is an old table leg that I've used, and as you can see, there's two bits of it, and it goes right from one end of the gourd through the pumpkin, through the gourd, out the other side. It has a tail piece, which again is part of the table leg, and up at this peg head end it has a nut that is made from the jawbone of one of my neighbour's dead cows, which I went across to his place to get the jawbone and cut it up. So it was a lot of fun making it, and to my surprise it actually didn't sound too bad. So I guess what I'll do now is play a tune. So there's the little Gourd banjo. Excuse the off notes, I'm still trying to learn to play without frets. This is a song by my newest favourite woman singer, Gilmore. It's called Karr's Lament. are ghosts in the street, and the window is open. There's the sound of a cat fight in the rain, and the smell of the earth where the storm is broken, and the howl of a southbound train, and the water sewing sequins on the glass. I'm not here to answer, so don't even ask, 'cause the road rolls on, yeah, the road rolls on. Will you take me out where the sky is full of music from the traffic of the town? I've got a head for drinking, and I've got money in my pocket, and I want to try and turn this night around. And the pound store Romeos all want to fight, and their breath is thick with Jaeger bombs and appetite. But the road rolls on, yeah, the road rolls on. So I'll turn off the radio, and I'll turn out the light. Let the darkness wrap its arms around my waist. There's a full moon out there somewhere, and it's sailing on the ocean, lighting up another stranger's face. And somewhere there's a song I haven't heard, and somewhere there are crosshairs on a mockingbird. But the road rolls on, yeah, the road rolls on, yeah, the road rolls on.
This is a song I wrote. It's called I've Put My Heart on eBay, and it goes something like this. Well, I put my heart up for sale on eBay, 'cause it seems you don't want it anymore. How can I possibly use it anyway, when you took my love and walked right out the door? My heart's so full of love for you, my darling, and I find it hard to believe you were not true. Now my heart feels so empty, it's alarming, and I just don't know really what to do. The auction has just started now in earnest, and I see the bids are coming by the score, but I really don't want to sell my heart on eBay. But what I really want is you beside me once more. My heart's so full of love for you, my darling, and I find it hard to believe you were not true. And you left me here alone and oh so lonely. And I spend my lonely days just missing you. Oh darling, if you've changed your mind about me, log on to eBay and here is what you do. Make a bid and I promise I'll accept it. There's no reserve price set upon my heart for you. My heart's so full of love for you, my darling, and I find it hard to believe you were not true. But if you will just come back to me, my darling, I promise we can start again anew. That day when you left me for another, I thought my heart would break up with the pain. But my darling, I am ready to forgive you, and I'll give you back my lonely heart again. My heart's so full of love for you, my darling, and I find it hard to believe you were not true. I need your love back in my heart again, dear, and I'll take my heart off eBay just for you. Take my heart off eBay just for you. Here's a little song I wrote. It's called Two Doors Down from Maddie's. Two doors down from Maddie's house lives a girl that I was new. We went out for quite some time, but she often made me blue. Maddie, she's a friend of mine, always there to ease my pain. When two doors down from Maddie's place, that girl breaks my heart again. Oh Maddie, how I love you. Oh Maddie, each day I love you more. Oh Maddie, I'm through walking two doors down. No more will I walk on past your door. Two doors down from Maddie's house, that girl waits by the phone. She rang again this morning, I pretended I wasn't home. She left a lengthy message asking when will she see me again. Well, two doors down from Maddie's place is one place I haven't been. Oh Maddie, how I love you. Oh Maddie, each day I love you more. Oh Maddie, I'm through walking two doors down. No more will I walk on past your door. Now Maddie is my only girl. She knows I love her so. And the two doors down is just a house, one to which I'll never go. Come summer, we'll be married, and Maddie could be my wife, and the girl that's living 2 doors down can get herself another life. Oh Maddie, how I love you. Oh Maddie, each day I love you more. Oh Maddie, I'm through walking 2 doors down. No more will I walk on past your door. I'm never again walking on past your door.
Jay, Rene and Jane, thank you very much for getting us underway. Next we have Dave Newton, and have you noticed that he never uses a capo? We'll also have Jim B with a song from his native Lancashire and a poem from David Harris, and there'll be 2 songs from Peter Day and me.
There's a ship lies rigged and ready in the harbour. Tomorrow for rolling and she sails, far away from your land of endless sunshine, to my land full of rainy skies and gales. And I shall be on board that ship tomorrow, though my heart be full of tears of this farewell. For you are beautiful, and I have loved you dearly, more dearly than the spoken word can tell. I hear there's a wicked war blazing, and the taste of war I know so very well. Even now I see the foreign flag a-raising, their guns on fire as we sail in hell. But I have no fear of death, it brings no sorrow, but how bitter will be this last farewell. For you are beautiful, and I have loved you dearly, more dearly than the spoken word can tell. As death and darkness gather all about me, and my ship be torn apart upon the sea, I shall smell again the fragrance of these islands, the heaving waves that brought me once to thee. And should I return safe home again to England, I shall watch the English mist run through the dales. For you are beautiful, and I have loved you dearly, more dearly than the spoken word can tell. For you are beautiful, and I have loved you dearly, more dearly than the spoken word can tell. I could have a mansion that's higher than the trees. I could have anything I want and never say please. I could go to Paris at my beck and call. Why do I go through life with no one at all? 'Cause when I dream of you. Maybe someday you will come true. When I dream of you. Maybe someday you will come true. I could be the singer or the clown in any room. I could even find some way getting to the moon. I could play my guitar without a capo, drive those folkies insane. I could go to bed with someone, never know her name. But when I dream of you. Maybe someday you will come true. Yes, when I dream of you. Maybe someday you will come true. When I dream of you. Maybe someday you will come true.
Standing on the shore, head in the clouds and your pockets full of dreams, bound for glory on the 7 seas of life, but the ocean is deeper than it seems. When you left on the morning tide, set your sail for an island in the sun. On the horizon there were dark clouds up ahead, for the storm had just begun. Take me with you, take me far away, lead me to the distant shore. Sail your ship across the water, spread your wings across the sky, ships will pass you by. You cry for mercy when you think you've lost your way. You drift alone when all your hope is gone. Find your strength and you will see you control your destiny. After all is said and done, take me with you, take me far away, lead me to that distant shore. Sail your ship across the water, spread your wings across the sky. Take the time and you will see you're the one who holds the key, or sailing ships will pass you by. I'm going home, sit right down. I tell my ma, I'm going back home, sit down and tell my ma. I'm going back home, sit down and tell my ma. And that's no way for me to get along while I'm low down. Women, Lord, they treated your poor son wrong. Them low-down women, they treated your poor son wrong. Them low-down women, they treated your poor son wrong. And that's no way for me to get along. Well, they treated my poor heart like it's made of rock or stone. They treated my heart like it's made of rock or stone. They treated my heart like it's made of rock or stone. And that's no way for me to get along. Your son wish that he was dead and gone. Make your poor son wish he's dead and gone. Make your poor son wish he's dead and gone. And that's no way for me to get along. Well, I stood on the road, mama, I cried alone all by myself. I stood on the road and cried all by myself. I stood on the road and cried all by myself. And that's no way for me to get along. Well, I wish some train, mama, come take me away from here. and take me away from here. And there's no way for me to get along. I'm going home, said right down. I tell my mom. I'm going back home, sit down, tell my mom. I'm going back home, sit down, tell my mom. And that's no way for me to get along.
Hi, I'm David Harris, and I'd like to give you tonight a poem that I wrote recently. It's called Nora Creina. The name Nora Creina is the name of a bay just south of the town of Robe in South Australia. It's named after a ship that was wrecked there in the 1800s. I know the bay quite well, and it was an inspiration for this poem. But the story told in it is completely my own. I don't know the history of the little settlement itself. The words Nora Creina are in the Irish Gaelic language, and it is the name of both a song and a poem by Thomas Moore. And my poem really has no relationship to Moore's, but his is a love poem, and so his Nora Creina is a pet name for the woman in his life. Mine is a love poem too. I've translated the woman's name, with some license, as Cheeky Nora. I've referred to the Celtic, that's Scottish, Manx, Irish, legend of the Selkies. They are said to be seals which come ashore, shed and hide their skins, and become humans, joining human society. The legend says they can one day find and put on their seal skins and return to the sea. So, here's my poem of Nora Creina. The love of Grandpa's life, his cheeky Nora, ancient tongue, remembered homeland, youth and love. They sometimes spoke it still. They knew when they first camped beside this deep blue bay, felt warm sand between their toes, swam in sea so crystal clear, befriended seals. Here was their little piece of heaven. My dad brought Mum down here when first they married. Their days alone, footprints in pure white sand, skinny dipping in cool sea. Family folklore says upon this beach, my sister was conceived. We sprinkled Grandma's ashes in the bay, and later Grandpa's too, watched them sink and disappear. Sunsets, a spectacular farewell. The Milky Way, a pathway to the sky. My sister Anna has her grandmother's classic beauty. Black hair, white skin, blue eyes. Today, on our morning swim together, I watch her dive, hair streaming, at home among the waves. My grandpa swore she was a selkie, a seal who'd come to spend some time with us. He sometimes wondered if one day she'd leave us and rejoin her clan, the seals, here in the bay. How magic that would be.
Hi folks, as most of you know, I'm a Lancastrian, and one from me I suppose really, a song about Lancashire. I wish I was in Lancashire, a-hunting of the hare, far across the wide moorlands and the mountains brown and bare, hearkening to the good hound's cry, hearkening to the horn, far away in Lancashire on a good fine hunting morn. There's greatly hounds in Lancashire, as such there always were. There's greatly hells in Lancashire, as how they're bleak and bare. There's greatly lads in Lancashire, and this I'll tell you true. I wish I was in Lancashire, a-hunting o'er the dew. I long to be in Lancashire, along with folks I know, hunting o'er the wide moorlands when the winds they blow. Like when I was yet a lad, in the place that I was born, far away in Lancashire on a good fine hunting morn.
Thank you to all those performers, Dave, Jim, David and Peter. It feels odd to say thank you to myself, so I'll just say that I enjoyed it. I always like the mixture of styles that we hear from a Hills Folk Club session. And now we'll hear from Lynn Hynd, followed by Paul Reynolds, and last but not least in this set, Kevin Smith.
I'm going to sing this afternoon, The Here and Now. It's by Chris Weil and Julie Matthews, and it's about living in the moment, not in the past nor in the future. The Here and Now. Look for the distant horizon. You live for the turn of the page. You're spinning in cycles that you won't disengage. But there's more than the far destination between you and the end of the line. And one day you wish you cherished this precious time. 'Cause life is here now. It's clear how living the moment will set you free from tomorrow and yesterday's sorrow. Better to feel the one thing that's real, the here and now. You're dwelling in bygone places and halcyon days in the sun. You're clinging on to a past now dead and gone. But don't make the people that love you now compete with the ghosts of the past. Unlock the chains to your heart, free at last. 'Cause life is here now. It's clear how living the moment will set you free from tomorrow and yesterday's sorrow. Better to feel the one thing that's real, the here and now. 'Cause life is here now. It's clear how living the moment will set you free from tomorrow and yesterday's sorrow. Better to feel the one thing that's real, the here and now. Better to feel the one thing that's real, song I'm going to do now is called Where Has the Yew Gone? And it's another Julie Matthews song. I write a line or two, but keep it short, and some of the best the passing year has brought. I slip it in between every card to all of my friends at home and those abroad, 'cause the days run off like wild, wild horses. The seasons tumble one by one until you're right back where you started. All of us wondering where the year has gone. We went to Venice in the spring. Carnival, such a happy happening. I bought a mask for you in St. Mark's Square. My camera froze you in a moment there, 'cause the days ran off like wild, wild horses. The seasons tumble one by one until you're right back where you started. All of us wondering where the year has gone. The summer all but washed away. English weather had its way. Something fell and broke in fall, something precious I recall. I write a line or two, but keep it short, and some of the best the passing year has brought. But then I forget and sign your name. I ball up the paper and I start again, 'cause the days ran off like wild, wild horses. Seasons tumble one by one until you're right back where you started. All of us wondering where the year has gone until you're right back where you started. All of us wondering where the year has gone. All of us wondering where the year has gone.
A song by Mr. Clive Palmer. Not that Clive Palmer. This Clive Palmer was the founder member of the Incredible String Band. go now, before the summer fades, before the geese are flown, before the rivers rise. Oh, would you take my heart? Would you take my mind? And if they ask where you are, I'll say that you have flown before you died of cold, and while your wings were strong, and that I love you still, and that all will fade. And as you fly away, you'll think no more of me, for autumn has no tears for summer's fading leaves, and that is how it was, and how it will be. A song by Mr. Alan Tunbridge that I nicked off a Whiz Jones album. Slow down to my speed, you know I don't want you to leave. Why do you have to move so fast? Don't you know that we will never last if you don't slow down to my speed? Sunrise is so slow, that's the way everything should go. I just can't make you out. No, sooner you're in than you want to go out again. So slow down to my speed. Takes away all that the morning has to say. So try a moment's tale to chase Why do you think you'll ever win the race if you don't slow down to my speed? Slow down to my speed. You know I don't want you to leave. Why do you have to move so fast? Don't you know that we will never last if you don't slow down to my speed?
Hi folks, this is my last two songs for the concert year. Hopefully we'll be meeting in person next year. Well, I'm pretty sure we will be. My two songs today, one's called Yesterday's Men by the Fureys, and the second one is My Old Man by MacColl. Was Joey the Weasel that gave us the wire? They're closing our factory down. Oh, we didn't believe him when we called him a liar. The redundancy letters came round. As we read them in silence, I choked back a tear. It was hard to believe after 20 odd years. Farewell, my companions, my friends, and my workmates, farewell to the paydays, the pints and the crack. Oh, we gave them our best years, now they paid us back. By making us yesterday's men, sure as hell. By making us yesterday's men. So we said our goodbye by the factory gate one cold Friday evening last year. And I saw it all there in the eyes of me mates, the anger, the sadness, the fear. Like our fathers before us, we worked there with pride, then we fought back the bitterness burning inside. Farewell, my companions, my friends and my workmates, farewell to the paydays, the pints and the crack. Oh, we gave them our best years, now they paid us back. By making us yesterday's men, sure as hell. By making us yesterday's men. Now Jimmy, said she, give the kids a few bob. After all, sure it was Friday night. Ah, how could I tell her I was out of a job? From now things were going to be tight. How well I remember it cut like a knife. I was never a day on the dole in my life. Farewell, my companions, my friends and my workmates, farewell to the paydays, the pints and the crack. Oh, we gave them our best years, now they paid us back. By making us yesterday's men, sure as hell. By making us yesterday's men. The machines now are silent, the workbench is bare. There's dust on the factory floor. They boarded the windows and chained up the gates, and we padlocked the factory door. And I'm on the scrappy, and I'm 39. One of the hundreds cut down in my prime. Farewell, my companions, my friends and my workmates, farewell to the paydays, the pints and the crack. Oh, we gave them our best years, now they paid us back. By making us yesterday's men, sure as hell. By making us yesterday's men. Farewell, my companions, my friends and my workmates, farewell to the paydays, the pints and the crack. Oh, we gave them our best years, now they paid us back. Thank you. Okay, My Old Man and Ewan MacColl. My old man was a good old man, skilled in the moulding trade. In the stinking heat of the iron foundry, my old man was made. Down on his knees in the moulding sand, he wore his trade like a company friend. With one of the Cyclops smoky band, yes, that was my old man. My old man wasn't really old, it's just that I was young. And anybody over 12 years old was halfway to the tomb. He was loyal to his workmates all his life, gave his pay back into his wife. He had a few jars on a Saturday night, yes, that was my old man. My old man was a union man, he worked hard all his days. He understood the system and was wise to the boss's ways. He says you want what's yours by right, you have to struggle with all of your might. They'll rob you blind if you don't fight, yes, that was my old man. My old man was a proud old man, at home on the foundry floor. Until the day they laid him off and showed him out the door. They gave him his card, said things are slack, and we got a machine that has the knack of doing your job, so don't come back, the end of my old man. My old man, he was 51, and what was he to do? A moulding craftsman on the dole in 1952. He felt he'd given all he could give, so he did what thousands of others did. Abandon hope and the will to live, they killed him, my old man. Now my old man, he is dead and gone, now I am your old man. My advice to you, my child, is fight back while you can. Watch out for the man with a silicon chip, hold on to your job with a good firm grip. As if you don't, you'll have had your chips, the same as my old man. As if you don't, you'll have had your chips, the same as my old man. Happy Christmas to everyone.
Thanks Lynn, Kevin and Paul. John Casey will kick off this next section, and then we'll have Lee Shaw with 2 songs. Grey Matters will then bring us a bit more Yuletide spirit, and then we'll have a song from McCarg Creek.
For our final concert, I've selected 2 well-known songs. There's the Eric Bogle song Shelter and Leonard Cohen's song Hallelujah. So this is Shelter by Eric Bogle. And I did a songwriting workshop with Eric at the Francis Folk Gathering. And he said that I could use Shelter and put my own words to it to get started with the songwriting. And that was over 15 years ago, and I've almost finished the song, but not quite. And so today I'll be singing the original Shelter. I'm drowning in the sunshine as it pours down from the skies. Something stirring in my heart, bright colours fill my from here to the far horizon. Your beauty does unfold, and oh, you look so lovely, dressed in green and gold. And I can almost touch the ocean, shimmering in the distant haze, as I stand here on the mountain, on this loveliest day of days. Round half the world I've drifted, left no wild oats unsung, but now my view has shifted, and I think I've just come home. To the homeless and the hungry, may you always open doors. May the restless and the weary find safe harbor on your shores. May you always be our dreamtime place, our spirits glad release. May you always be our shelter. May we always live in peace. May we always live in peace. I heard there was a secret chord David played and it pleased the Lord, but you don't really care for music, do ya? It goes like this, a fourth, a fifth, minor for the major lift, the baffled king composing. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Your faith was strong, but you needed proof. You saw her bathing on the roof, her beauty and the moonlight overthrew you. She tied you to a kitchen chair, she broke your throne, she cut your hair, and from your lips she drew the Alleluia, 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 Alleluia. You say I took the name in vain, but I don't even know the name. And if I did, well really what's it to ya? There's a blaze of light in every word, doesn't matter what you heard, the holy or the broken. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. I did my best, it wasn't much, I couldn't feel, so I learned to touch. I told the truth, I didn't come to fool you. And even though it all went wrong, stand before the Lord of Song with nothing on my tongue but Alleluia, Alleluia, Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
This is The Glory of Love by Billy Hill. You've got to give a little, take a little, let your poor heart break a little. That's the story of, that's the glory of love. You've got to cry a little, laugh a little, let the clouds roll by a little. That's the story of, that's the glory of love. As long as there's the two of us, we've got the world and all its charms. And when the world is through with us, we've got each other's arms. Don't you know, you got to win a little, lose a little, and always have the blues a little. That's the story of, that's the glory of love. You've got to live a little, die a little, let the world roll by a little. That's the story of, that's the glory of love. As long as there's the two of us, we've got the world and all its charms. When the world is through with us, we've got each other's arms. Don't you know, you gotta win a little, lose a little, and always have the blues a little. And that's the story of, that's the glory of love. That's the story of, that's the glory of love. Prescription for the blues. All day long I worry, all night long I'm blue. I feel so awfully lonesome, I don't know what to do. And so I ask you, doctor, to see if you can find something in your satchel to pacify my mind. Oh, doctor, doctor, write me a prescription for the blues. Let me tell you, doctor, why I'm in misery. Once I had a lover, she went away from me. I went to see the gypsy and the voodoo doctor too. They shook their heads and told me there was nothing they could do. Oh, doctor, doctor, write me a prescription for the blues. Just like a little baby, all night long I cry. Doctor, if you can't cure me, I'd just as soon to die. So give me something poison, doctor, if you please. Then I'll sign a paper saying I died of heart disease. Oh, doctor, doctor, write me a prescription for the blues. Just like a little baby, all night long I cry. Doctor, if you can't cure me, I'd just as soon to die. So give me something poison, doctor, if you please. Then I'll sign a paper saying I died of heart disease. Oh, doctor, doctor, write me a prescription for the blues. them worried blues now. I said, write me a prescription for the blues.
We're going to do the Boar's Head Carol, which is a macronomic, which means 2 languages included, a 15th century Christmas carol. It describes the ancient tradition of sacrificing a boar and presenting its head in a Yuletide feast, and it's based on a version written in 1521. As we're not in England and we don't have a boar, we've decided to substitute our centrepiece with that.
A wombat.
It's got an apple in it now.
1, 2, 3.
The boar's head in hand awry, bedecked with bays and rosemary, and I pray you, my masters, be merry. Quod estes in convivio, caput prede ferro, redens laudes Domino. Caput prede ferro, redens laudes Domino. The boar's head, as I understand, is the rarest dish in all this land, which thus bedecked with a gay garland, let us severe cantico. Caput prede ferro, redens laudes Domino. Caput prede ferro, redens laudes Domino. Our steward hath provided this in honour of the King of Bliss, which on this day to be served is in reginentia trio. Caput prede ferro, redens laudes Domino. Caput prede ferro, redens laudes Domino.
Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas.
McCard Creek, Grey Matters, Lee Shaw and John Casey, thank you all. Next up, 2 songs from Roger Calcraft. I must apologise here, a slight technical difficulty. You'll see that the image on these 2 songs is slightly blurred. The sound, however, isn't. Then we'll hear from 4 former members of the group Quintessence with one of their songs, and then a song from Trish Smiley. And to round off this segment, 2 songs from Jim Grote.
Hello, this is the first song that I ever wrote. It's relevant because I wrote it for a Christmas party in the Durham Club. And it's my sort of tribute to all the folk singers who get up and sing quite prepared to make idiots of themselves. Now I'm a folk club singer and I like to sing me songs. I sing 'em nice and loud so you all can sing along. Songs with a good chorus and plenty of harmony. The only trouble is that I did-da-did-da-did-dee. And I've forgotten the words again, yes, I've forgotten the lines. It's such a bloody nuisance 'cause I do it all the time. It really is so awful, I think I'm getting worse. Hold on, wait a minute, I've remembered another verse. Now I likes traditional music with me finger in me ear. I'm also rather partial to a good strong pint of beer. I likes to have a couple before I starts to sing. But when I've had too many, well, I can't remember a thing. And I've forgotten the words again, yes, I've forgotten the lines. It's such a bloody nuisance 'cause I do it all the time. It really is so awful, I think I'm getting worse. Hold on, wait a minute, I've remembered another verse. Now sometimes I get nervous and my knees begin to quake. My hands are all a tremble and my voice begins to break. The tune begins to waver and I cannot find the key. And I've forgotten the words again, did-da-did-da-did-dee. Yes, I've forgotten the words again, yes, I've forgotten the lines. It's such a bloody nuisance 'cause I do it all the time. It really is so awful, I think I'm getting worse. Hold on, wait a minute, I've remembered another verse. Now the day that I got married, I remembered all my lines. My speech at the reception, I managed it just fine. But after on the honeymoon was lying in me cot, I knew I should do something, but I couldn't remember what. And I've forgotten the words again, yes, I've forgotten the lines. It's such a bloody nuisance 'cause I do it all the time. It really is so awful, I think I'm getting worse. Hold on, wait a minute, I've remembered another verse. Now I dream that I get famous and known all o'er the land. Even Her Royal Majesty, she has become a fan. I dream that I get knighted, but it all turns out the same. When she says, "Arise, sir," "Sir, I'm sorry, son, I can't remember your name." And I've forgotten the words again, yes, I've forgotten the lines. It's such a bloody nuisance 'cause I do it all the time. It really is so awful, I think I'm getting worse. Hold on, wait a minute, I've remembered another verse. Now when I gets too old to sing, I'll lay me down to rest, with one last chorus of Fiddler's Green and a couple of pints of best. My tombstone should be a pint pot and written on the bottom, Here lies a folk club singer man, he's gone but not forgotten. And I've forgotten the words again, yes, I've forgotten the lines. It's such a bloody nuisance 'cause I do it all the time. It really is so awful, I think I'm getting worse. But it really doesn't matter 'cause that was the last verse. As it's tis a festive season, I thought I'd do a carol. I wasn't very enamoured with this one before I found this different tune for it. Oh, the holly and the ivy, when they are both full grown, of all the trees that are in the woods, the holly it bears a crown. Oh, the rising of the sun and the running of the deer, the playing of the merry organ, sweet singing all in the choir. Oh, the holly it bears a blossom as white as any flower, and Mary bore sweet Jesus Christ to be our sweet Saviour. Oh, the rising of the sun and the running of the deer, the playing of the merry organ, sweet singing all in the choir. Oh, the holly it bears a prickle as sharp as any thorn, and Mary bore sweet Jesus Christ on Christmas Day in the morn. Oh, the rising of the sun and the running of the deer, the playing of the merry organ, sweet singing all in the choir. Oh, the holly it bears a bark as bitter as any gall, and Mary bore sweet Jesus Christ, who died to save us all. Oh, the rising of the sun and the running of the deer, the playing of the merry organ, sweet singing all in the choir. Oh, the holly it bears a berry as red as any blood, and Mary bore sweet Jesus Christ to do us poor sinners good. Oh, the rising of the sun and the running of the deer, the playing of the merry organ, sweet singing all in the choir. Thank you.
My father was a cocky, as his father was before him, and I married me a cocky nearly 50 years ago. And I've lived here on this station, and I've seen the seasons changing, from the drought round to the flooding, from the lambing to the wool. And there've been times when I've wondered if it all was worth the doing, and there've been times when I thought this was the finest place shook his dusty forehead, with him too tired to talk to me too tired to care. And there've been times when I wondered if it all was worth the doing, and there've been times when I thought this was the finest place there is. Though the life is never easy and the hours are long and heavy, I'm quite contented nowadays to join my life to his. And the children came unbidden, bringing laughter to the homestead, and I thank the Lord our sons were young, too young for battle then. And I counted myself lucky to lose no one close to family, though the neighbors lost their only son, sold up and moved to town. And there've been times when I've wondered if it all was worth the doing, and there've been times when I thought this was the finest place there is. Though the life is never easy and the hours are long and heavy, I'm quite contented nowadays to join my life to his. And the children have grown and left me for careers in town and city, and I'm proud of them, but sadly none to station life. And I smile to hear them talking of the hard slog in the office. But when I think of working hard, I think of Rocky and his wife. And there've been times when I've wondered if it all was worth the doing, and there've been times when I thought this was the finest place there is. But though the life is never easy and the hours are long and heavy, I'm quite contented nowadays to join my life to his. Now my old man had a heart that's as warm as a breeze on a summer's afternoon. He is clever with his hands, you should have seen his fingers dance. When he laughs, he's as crazy as the moon. I've been with him now for nearly 16 years, but I can't tell you how, 'cause I've cried so many tears. He can't seem to lay off the bottle, he just doesn't know when to stop. Something snaps in his head and he won't come to bed till he's finished every drop. My old man has been out of work for as long as I can recall, and it's all for his grog that he can't hold down a job, so there's nothing much to show for it all. It's not things that I need, I'm not that way inclined. It makes my heart bleed to see him get so blind. He can't seem to lay off the bottle, he just doesn't know when to stop. Something snaps in his head and he won't come to bed till he's finished every drop.
Well, I think I'll send the kids for a spell with me mum, and I'll have some time on my own. We could talk, but I doubt that we'd ever work it out, but I'm not sure if I can live alone. It's been so many years, Christ, it's almost half my life, but he's married to his beer and I don't feel much like a wife. He can't seem to lay off the bottle, he just doesn't know when to stop. Something snaps in his head and he won't come to bed till he's finished every drop. Now my old man had a heart that's as warm as a breeze on a summer's afternoon. He was clever with his hands, you should have seen his fingers dance, but now he's living in a rented room. We meet from time to time, but there's nothing much to say. We once had something fine, but there's nothing left today. He can't seem to lay off the bottle, he just doesn't know when to stop. Something snaps in his head and he won't come to bed till he's finished every drop. And now he's finished every drop.
Hello. The last one for the year, eh? I'd just like to thank Peter and Adrienne for all their hard work, especially Peter. Gee, he put a lot of work into putting these virtual concerts together, so, you know, thanks again. I'd just like to wish everybody a happy Christmas and a healthy and normal New Year, hopefully. The two songs I'm going to sing them together, and not at the same time, oh no. Only, I don't even think ventriloquists could do that. But they do go well together. One's written by one of Scotland's best singer-songwriters, Bogle, and the other one's written by one of Scotland's best poets, Robert Burns. I want to introduce the story. I'm going to have to be quick or I'll get into trouble. When I left Scotland for Australia in the 60s, I was at the Calais station in Edinburgh and had all my friends there, my rellies. We were passing the whiskey bottle around, everybody was having a good time, telling jokes, singing songs. Then the train came along and we started to get on the train and the mood changed. There was tears starting to fall, and then as the train took off on its way to London, I had the most terrible doubts that I was leaving a job that I truly loved. It was a hard work, but I really loved the job. It was secure. I'm halfway around the world and I don't know what the future holds for me, but will I be successful? Will I like it? Will I get employment? Or will I come back to Scotland a failure with my tail between my legs? Well, I got to Australia and I did okay. Things were good. But every 31st of December, my mind strayed back to the town of my birth, Edinburgh, and all my friends were rallies. I wondered what they were doing. So I drank their health, and these two songs came along. In comes the train and the whole platform shakes. Stops with a shudder and a screaming breaks. The parting has come and my weary soul aches. I'm leaving my Nancy, oh. But you stand there beside me, determinedly gay. You talk of the weather and events of the day, but your eyes tell me all that your tongue doesn't say. Farewell, my Nancy, oh. and come a little closer. Lay your head upon my shoulder and let me hold you one last time before the whistle blows. My suitcase is lifted and sold on the train. 1,000 regrets whirl around in my brain. The ache in my heart is a black sea of pain. I'm leaving my Nancy, oh, but you stand there beside me, so lovely to see. But the grip of your hand is an unspoken plea. You're not fooling yourself, and you're not fooling me. Goodbye, my Nancy, oh, and come a little closer. Lay your head upon my shoulder and let me hold you one last time before the whistle blows. Well, our time has run out and the whistle is blown. Here I must leave you standing alone. We had so little time, and now the time's gone. Goodbye, my Nancy, oh. And as the train starts gently to roll, as I lean out to wave and to call, I see your first tears trickle and fall. Goodbye, my Nancy, oh, and come a little closer. Lay your head upon my shoulder and let me hold you one last time before the whistle blows, and let me hold you one last time before the whistle blows. Should all acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind? Should all acquaintance be forgot and the days of old lang syne? For all lang syne, my dear, for all the lang syne, we'll take a cup o' kindness yet for all lang syne. We twa hae piddled and the barn frae morning sun till dying, but see between us pretty road sitting old lang syne, for old lang syne, my dear, for old lang syne. We'll take a cup o' kindness yet for old lang syne, and here's a hand, my trusty friend, and gies a hand o' thine. We'll take a richt, get Willie walk for old lang syne, for old lang syne, my dear, for old lang syne. We'll take a cup o' kindness yet for old lang syne, for old lang syne, my dear, for old lang syne. We'll take a cup o' kindness yet for old lang syne. Thank you very much. First take, Peter, what do you think?
Thanks to all of you, Roger, Tricia, Michael, Peter, Lynn and Jen. We're nearly at the end of the December virtual concert and of the 2020 virtual concert series. We've seen regular club members get together in new combinations. We've seen reunions of old combinations. We've had regular participation by people that we don't often see because they live at a distance. And we've had some one-off performances by people who now live overseas. For people who like statistics, over the 8 months we've had 268 songs in all, and we've had 29 individuals performing. All in all, our virtual concerts have gathered more than 1,800 views. Our virtual audience has gone beyond the local area, and we've had people viewing from all around the world. In fact, half of our views have come from outside Australia. I'd like to thank all the performers who've contributed this month and throughout the year. I'd like to thank the people behind the cameras and the microphones too. We don't see you. And a very big thank you to Peter Day, who has put all of these virtual concerts together from the clips that people have sent him. Thank you for watching and listening. And now to finish off, here's Wild Mountain Time, led by J. Morfey. Merry Christmas, and let's hope that 2021 brings us a good new year.
Oh, the summertime is coming, and the leaves are sweetly blooming, and the wild mountain thyme grows around the bloomin' heather. Will ye go, lassie, go, and we'll all go together to the wild mountain thyme, all around the blooming heather. Will ye go, lassie, go? I will build my love a bower by yon clear crystal fountain, And if my true love should leave me, I would never find another to pull one mountain time all around the bloomin' heather. Will you go, lassie, go, and we'll all go together to pull one mountain time all around